Hey guys, good morning. I'm Janelle and this is my husband Eddie.
Good morning.
Of you may not know him, but he is the cake daddy, right? We're gonna wait just a couple of seconds. Everyone knows that it's scheduled at 9 today, and I'm super excited and I have so much to talk about, and I don't want you to get caught up in all kinds of silly stuff if you're watching the replay later. So we're just gonna give it a couple of seconds. People are already jumping on right now. Good morning, Sandy, Kim. This is really exciting, and it's been sitting on my heart for quite a while to put something like this together. So I am, what is this? Want to know who's watching? I already see it. Kim, good morning. I'm excited too. Hi, Amanda. So these are all my cake peeps, honey.
Oh, hi, cake peeps.
This is my husband, Peep. And so we have a lot of stuff that we want to talk to you about this morning. I feel like I'm hunched over. Are you? Is this close enough?
This is good.
All right,
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so first off, I want to talk to you about my story and how the Cake Mamas kind of started. I don't want to talk to you about my story because I like talking about myself, so there will be some lessons throughout this story, but I want you to understand that it's important for you to be able to articulate your story, because we're in a generation or a time now where companies that have been around for decades, even hundreds of years, let's take, for example, like a Miller Lite or a Bud Light beer. People know these brands. They've been household names for several years, but we're in a time in our history now where people are passing up those bigger brands and they're going to smaller, like craft beers, for example, because there's a connection with the person that started the business. Yeah. There's a connection with the brewmaster. And so it's really important that your story may not be like mine. It may not have all this crazy twists and turns. It may be a super simple story, but it's important for you to be able to tell your story, have confidence in it, and know what it is that people are going to want to follow you along for the journey for, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's throw it back to 2009. 2009, so let's just paint a picture. We got married in 2005. In 2005, so wedding in January. We had a baby in July. We bought our first home in October. I had inherited 2 stepchildren who were a year and 3 years old. So I instantly became a mother to 3, 2 toddlers and a baby. In addition to all of that, now we're homeowners, we're newlyweds, and we also started working for Circuit City. So my history is Eddie and I met at Best Buy. We were both managers for Best Buy, and we learned so many great things. We were leaders, so we got to lead people. We were in sales. Talk a little bit about what we did.
Oh, business acumen. We led teams of 180 to 200 employees. Grew and developed individuals to take on bigger and better opportunities for their careers.
I was one of the few female leaders in a male-dominant industry. So since I was in that environment, I developed this huge passion for helping women, achieve great things working in this sort of industry. And I started mentoring lots of females. So this goes back way when, and I've always loved helping people. So I think deep down, maybe I was meant to be a teacher, but that's kind of boring to be in a classroom. So this is much more fun. So, we hired people, we fired people, we held people accountable. We knew how to do marketing because, the holiday season in a Best Buy is a really big deal. You have crazy goals.
Manage a P&L.
Which is a profit and loss statement. So a lot of them may not know that. So I say this to say, we had quite a bit of management experience and business experience. So anyways, here we are in this new house, all these new things in 2005. We get recruited by our mentors and our bosses at Best Buy, who are now leaving to go work for Circuit City. So they ask us to follow them, and we did. So at the time, Circuit City was referred to as Circuit Shitty. And we knew this, but we were so confident in our abilities, and we were told that, we were being asked to come over and transform a company.
Yeah.
So we were sold on the dream. we went, we led teams there. I had the opportunity of working on like a grand opening team. So I opened quite a few stores. I got to hire people. It was just a fantastic time until 2009, we lost our jobs. So imagine this, like I said, 3 children, all under the age of 8.
Yeah.
We had our brand new home, which at the time was $5,000, our mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a problem because we were making good money. And so now all of a sudden everything was ripped from us. We were forced to file bankruptcy. We almost lost our home. We lost one of our cars. It was a tough time for us, right?
It was, very much so.
So in addition to now we don't have jobs, there are 13,000 other coworkers just here in Los Angeles that were now looking for the same jobs because they had the same background and the same history and same skills that we had. So imagine that, sitting here on our laptops, on the couch, jobless, searching for jobs on monster.com at the time, small children to feed, everything, you're on the verge of losing everything. Our house could have went in foreclosure, so many things. And so I think, what was your like biggest learning during that time?
Well, I think also the part you're missing is that we were in a deep, deep recession.
Oh yeah, it was the worst time in our history.
Yeah, and so...
so everyone was in the same situation, losing their homes, filing bankruptcy. We were no exception.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I think there was a pivotal moment when Eddie and I both applied for the same job. We like literally hit send at the same time, and we realized, okay, well, that just got ruined for both of us because it's Copeland on both of the applications. So I decided that, you know, I was going to kind of leave things up in the air and we were not going to stress over it. And I was going to take some time to now be a mom and just focus on the blessings that we had. So I just decided to pull our kids out of daycare, and you know, I was going to sit there and help them with their homework and do all the mommy things that I wasn't able to do while I was a career woman. And that was just because I ran out of options. Like, it was like we made all this money and look what happens. And so now I'm going to try to not need the money and just be there for my kids. And so you wound up working for...
I got a position with 24 Hour Fitness, which was great because it was kind of a blessing. They matched my salary, and it was one of those situations that came out of nowhere. I didn't even think about going into the fitness industry, and they were looking to do something different with leadership and bring on people that had the background of development and
outside experiences. I think they had a strong sales culture. If anyone has ever tried to join a gym, they definitely try to sell you, and so I think they wanted to go into a different direction when it came to leadership, and so I kind of came at the right time. Yeah.
Right time.
So here we are now on one salary, and you know, I'm home with the kids. So a couple things about me: I don't watch TV. Good morning, Siobhan. I don't watch TV. At that time, it was because when I was not really home a lot, and when I wanted to be hanging out with my kids. And 2, it's just not my thing. I'd rather read a book. I'd rather go for, I don't go for runs, but I'd rather go to the gym, something. But TV is just a big time waster, in my opinion. So I had the TV on now that I'm home making meals for my children. I was making dinner a couple nights in a row, and there was this new show on called The Cake Boss. I'm sure you guys are familiar. So Buddy is there with his family in Hoboken, New Jersey, and they're making these cakes, like cakes I have never seen before. They're sculpted, they're beautiful colors. It's this stuff called fondant, which you can roll out with a rolling pin. Like, it was just crazy. So I was blown away. So I stopped cooking dinner. I start watching. Here's the thing about me. I'm super crafty. I've gone through every stage of craft that, like, you know, has come about, every trend. So I literally can't see it, but over here is like 10 years of accumulative scrapbook stuff. I used to love scrapbooking. I have every tool known to mankind. I sewed.
Belt buckles.
I did belt buckles, rhinestone belt buckles in the 90s. I'm a sewer. I made my kids Halloween costumes. So anything you can think of that's crafty, I'm all about that. I just don't know how to draw or paint. But I don't apply myself to those things because they're not interesting to me. So I'm watching this show. First thing about me, I go, I can do that. I'm pretty sure I can do that. So I'd say within 24 hours, I go to, the nearest Michael's. I find the cake stores that are local. I buy some fondant, which at the time was kind of a new thing. I bring it home. I've got the rolling pins. I've got some pans, and I start just playing with stuff. So I made my first cake. It was cool.
Yeah.
I remember maybe that week I made Aunt Shirley's birthday cake.
Yes,
it was this cheetah zebra thing. Like, I immediately jumped into two-tier. That was my second cake I ever made. It was covered in cheetah print.
A big one was Staples Center.
Oh yeah, I made a Staples Center cake for you. So I don't know what, like, I want to say, like, the word, my theme is audacity. Like, I just had the audacity to think that I could do it, to try, and so that's what I did. So here I am making a couple of cakes, because I have nothing better to do and I'm home with my kids. I have this dream one night, and I start, I had a dream. I woke up, and I wake up and I tell him, I go, I just had a dream about Fabiola. So Fabiola is the girl's mom. She's his ex, which, like, why should I be dreaming about her, right? And I said, we owned a bakery. And when the kids got out of school, every day they'd come to the bakery and they'd help us sell cupcakes and interact with the customers. Yeah. And it was really cool. It felt so real. I'm not a psychic. I'm not, like, into, dream catchers. It just felt really real. And just to give you backstory, Fabiola and I didn't have any, there was no tension. I didn't steal her man. We weren't angry with each other, but because we worked so much, I never really got to see her or interact with her. So there was no reason why I should have been dreaming about her, other than in the previous few weeks, now I was seeing her, interacting with her more, because I was home with the kids and I would give her their homework assignments and talk to her on my porch when she would come get them on her nights. So she must have just been on my brain. I have this dream, right? Okay, so she comes, I tell the girls that morning, I tell you, what did you think? I don't even remember.
You told me the story and I went to work on, that would be really strange. It's just, and I was like, well, that was just a dream.
Wait, so what you said, though, you said, well, that's really weird. Did you know she was a baker?
Oh, I did. Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, her very first job since the time she was like 15 and a half, she started working for this bakery.
Yeah, in I think it was San Gabriel.
San Gabriel.
Yeah.
And so she said, literally, I had a dream.
Yeah.
It was all a dream. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So yes, I literally had a dream. So I wake up the kids, and as I'm doing their hair for school, I tell them the story, and they get all excited, and they're like, oh my God, that would be so fun. So we had a few laughs. I sent them off to school. So what, 8 hours passes, 10 hours passes. It's her night, so she comes to get them. And we're standing at the door. I'm exchanging, like, notebooks and homework and backpacks. And they said, oh, tell my mommy about your dream. So I got to tell you, I was embarrassed. Like, oh, I didn't really have a dream about you. Like, why am I dreaming about my husband's ex? It just sounds really weird. I said, oh, it wasn't a big deal. I had a dream that we owned a bakery, and the girls took over the story. You guys owned a bakery, and then we came and we were helping the customers, and Jordan, who was 4, was like, and I was handling the customers and the money. And so they just, like, brought it to life. And so she got excited, and she said, well, did you know that I was a baker, and it's my dream to own a bakery? I said, well, I didn't until Eddie told me this morning that you were a baker, and so just random. Guys, this turns into, like, a 2-hour conversation on my porch, maybe even longer. So the girls are playing in the front yard, and we're talking just about the cakes that I've made, stuff that she's made, my business background. Like, I didn't really think it was going to be a business at that point, but it was so exciting that we had this in common and we could bond over this, right? Okay, so then fast forward.
Well, you called me, and
what did I say?
You said, I think we're going to start a business. And I was like, what?
Did I say it that day?
Yeah, you said it that day. I told Fabiola about my dream, and she said, yeah, we could do that. That was exactly what you said.
I believe you.
You said, oh, yeah. She said, oh, we could do that. I've always wanted to own a bakery. And I was like, oh, my God.
Well, I do remember her saying, like, I wanted to own a bakery, but I didn't know anything about the business side. And you do know everything about the business side, and I know everything about the bakery side. So, yes, we did have this very extensive conversation. And yes, I did spend the rest of the night obsessed on Google, going through everything from how to start your business, what the first steps are, how to name your business, what local competitors existed within a 50-mile radius. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm like obsessive compulsive. If I get an idea, I'm going to take it to a whole nother level, right?
Absolutely. 100% all in.
Okay. So one key point of this story, the reason I'm babbling is, again, not because I think I'm so great, but it's because I want to tell you, you have to decide to be all in. So at this point, I wasn't all in, but if something comes to me and I feel like, oh my God, I'm really interested, I'm going to buy every book. I'm going to go on Google. I'm going to find every resource that I can find. And the one thing about me is you're going to learn I'm pretty tough. I'd say I'm a tough cookie, but I'm also so kind and so loving. But here's the thing. We live in a time where the resources and the information is abundantly available. I'm talking more abundantly available today for you guys than it was for me in 2009. So I'm going to be really hardcore and upfront with you and tell you that if I did it, if I Googled what my local competitors were, how they started, what their stores were, not to stalk them. By the way, there were no local competitors within a 50-mile radius, but I found some other bakeries, and I'll get into that in a second. So remind me because they're a big deal today.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story. So I'm obsessive this night because I'm excited. You guys ever have that feeling where you're so excited about something you can't sleep, you just are craving the information, so you go out and find it. So that's one of the things I'm going to tell you. Go out and find the information. It does exist and it is there. So the next day, Fabiola comes and I couldn't wait for her to get here, and I literally like just bombarded her. I swear I had a PowerPoint probably this thick. And I was like, so I've prepared this document. I did some research last night. These are the steps required to register a business in California. These are the steps that are required to like trademark a name. You know, I think maybe if we took it back and we just got like business cards, like, do you really want to do this? Literally, I like overwhelmed her, I'm sure, because that's a lot for anyone. I'm sounding really crazy right now.
You are crazy.
Okay.
It's okay. Well, that's what crazy people
That's
do.
what's required.
You gotta be a little crazy to start a business.
You do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I did look up like what are the failure rates for starting a small business, and I will tell you that 70 to 75% of small businesses fail within the first year. That didn't even faze me. Like for some reason I was like, meh, shmeh, right? So I did know all of the facts, but again, I had the audacity to just say, I'm not going to be bothered with that. I'm just going to do a really good job on trying to like conceptualize this thing. So this conversation now turns into a 4-hour conversation. And not to get too sappy on you, I don't even know if you know this, but at this point, the girls had been playing in the front yard, running in and out of the house. We're talking at my porch. They run up. This isn't the part. I know you know this part. They run up all out of breath and they're like, so we've been thinking if you guys are both our mamas and you guys are both going to make cakes, you should just name your bakery the Cake Mamas. And we looked at each other and we were just like, oh my God, that is so perfect, right? There's just like no other word. It was just perfect. So at that moment, I kind of realized what was happening. Like I'm interacting with my husband's ex. I've got these kids here. My daughter Jordan, who was 4, she loved Fabiola. You know, it just was like, it felt so right. And I said to her, would you like to come in? Because guys, like she had never been in our home before. Why did your husband's baby mama need to come in, right? And so I asked her, would you like to come in? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, no, yeah, just...
I had like an out-of-body experience though, and so I asked her, would you like to come in? I remember the look on their faces when they were like, and they said, Janelle, can I show my mommy my bedroom? And I was like, yeah, of course. So they brought her in. I'm gonna get choked up, but I will never forget like the emotion that was running through me, like to see the connection that her and I'm gonna get all like sappy right now. But this is a part of our story, you know, like who starts a business with their husband's ex? That was a turning point for me to have a really soft heart and say, I really think we could do this. Plus I saw how much joy it brought to our children that I was fully in, fully in. And I knew that I wanted to do that. And now we had a name. So that's that. When I left out the part that I can't sit still, like literally when I decided I was going to stay home with the kids, that lasted 24 hours because by the next day I had applied for Mount SAC and I was taking Spanish classes, business classes, a PE class because I needed it as a prerequisite, and I knew it would force me to work out. So the point is, you know, I'm working on cakes. I'm now having these conversations with Fabiola. I'm going to these classes. So now I'm sitting in Spanish class on day 3. And I'm like, God, I don't want to be here. I have so much research to do. I'm distracted. I need to find a graphic designer. Like, I need to find somebody that can make the Cake Mamas come to life, right? So I am not joking you. Was I in my 30s? Yeah, I was in my 30s. I'm in a Spanish class. There's a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. I look to my right and I see this woman. Her name was Jessica. Really pretty Asian woman. I can tell she's older than, or not older than me, but we're the 2 oldest in the class. And I look over to her and I was like, do you not want to be here too? And she goes, oh my God, I have so much work to do. I don't want to be here. And I said, what do you do? She said, I'm a graphic designer. I'm a graphic artist. Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I said, wow, okay, well, this is kind of fate. I'm looking for a graphic designer right now because I have a business that I want to launch. It's called the Cake Mamas. We make cakes. Like, I had this whole story for her. She goes, I would love to make your logo. Guys, I had a logo by 5 p.m. that night. Boom. So Fabiola comes over again, day 3, and I'm like, look, I ran into a designer. Literally, we had business cards made within 24 hours.
It was ridiculous.
Were you scared?
Yeah.
So we've got the business cards. We, you know, God, Jesus, Buddha, whoever you believe in, put the graphic artist, Jessica, in my Spanish class. All right, so then it gets better. The next day, which is day 4, I'm in the PE class that I have to take in order to get my degree or some credits or something. And so I'm on the treadmill. Again, I don't run, so I was probably walking. And I hear this woman next to me talking to her friend. She's like, girl, we're having this party next weekend. And no, it was this weekend. We're having this party this weekend. And I still haven't ordered Joshua's cake. And I was like, So I hit stop. And I said, well, actually, I have a cake business and I make cakes. Mind you guys, I had made maybe 4 cakes, right? Yeah. Her name was Candace. She's become one of my good friends. And she did not know that I was hustling her. But I had the audacity again to think that I could take a cake order, right? I got business cards. So I go, actually, I have a business. Let me give you a business card. So I give her a business card. You know, we're the Cake Mamas, this and that. She said, well, it's for this weekend. You guys know when you start, like, there's no boundaries. You're just like, put it out there, do anything. So we did her cake, her son's cake. It was a pink castle cake, pink because he wanted strawberry. And that was our first cake order ever. Yeah. Right?
I remember that.
So
I remember it taking a long time to make it too.
Oh my God. Guess how much I charged her for that? It was like $40 or something stupid. That is such a mistake. Candace, I want you to know I spent probably 15 hours working on a dang cake. Anyways, okay, so that's the gist of my story, like how we got started, how the Cake Mamas was founded. And yes, everything does fall in place if it's meant to be. So you got to look at those signs. I'm a big believer in when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So maybe that's why you guys are on this with me this Saturday morning, because you're ready. And now the teacher, me, has appeared and I want to help you. So some reasons why I'm doing this are because, again, back to my Best Buy days, I've always wanted to help. And I have always had a passion for helping women in particular. I have 3 daughters, and I just feel like we should raise our young women to be brave and to be audacious, not to be sweet and kind. And I mean, we should always be sweet and kind. But I can't stand when a woman will get on a phone and be like, hi, oh yeah, I was wondering if I could pick up, like, don't change your voice. Like, I'm a woman in business, you know, I could go on and on about this, but I want to empower you guys and get you to understand that you have the ability to make all of your dreams come true, whatever they may be. And some of you, like, I think right now is a good time to talk about levels. What do you think?
Well, yes, and then go back to...
Well, you go back. You can
stories.
You can speak.
Oh, no, I'm just, you know, I enjoy being here.
Okay.
No, but I think that before you go into the levels, I think that it's important that you know that your story is so important, not only to your why, and I think that the business has endured because of that story, right? And times that were tough and times that didn't look like, hey, we're going to make it, it has endured because of the why, because of the moment when the kids saw Fab come into the house. And, you know, although she's not there now, I think that it's still something that energizes that business, and it's still the core of it. And your story may be not as dynamic as this story, but it doesn't have to be. It's what you make of it, is the meaning you give to the world. And I think that that's important.
So he said, what is your why? That's a great book by Simon Sinek. I really encourage you to go get it. So what is your why? If you want to start a baking business because you want to be like the Cake Mamas, you have to understand that's not a good enough reason. If you want to start a cake business because you want to make more money and it's the only means to make money, that might be a good way to kind of kick yourself in the butt and get you to start something to generate some income. But I can tell you there's not a lot of profit in making cakes, period, whether you're in business or at home. So there's a lot more to business, which we'll dive into on the next one. But I guess I would just encourage you to do some soul searching and ask yourself, really, what's your why? Is this your passion? Like, is this something like that I've been baking since I was 10 or 4 with my grandmother. We have recipes for generations. Like, what's your story? Like, what is the differentiating factor? Because let's be real, there's 9,000 cake decorators just here locally in Los Angeles that can make a cake for somebody from their home that could be cheaper, but for whatever reason, they choose to come to the Cake Mamas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a super private person, but like I know when private is private and when you can share. What I have found is that I was really uneasy talking about mine and Fab's relationship because I thought people thought that it was weird, and they did. But the more that I said, you know what it is, and this isn't about you, this is about our family, the more people embraced it. And so the people that we attracted were people that had the same beliefs as us. We attracted people that were going through the same issues, maybe with like a baby mama, or they had drama, and they were inspired by our story. And so I will just tell you, this ties into your story and your why. You got to ask yourself why. My why, and it still is today, is my children, and just to show them that you should be audacious in life.
Absolutely. And, you know, and not to get too sidetracked, but I think that that's irrelevant, is the accountant by trade, but, you know, hard to make that jump. I think that you hear a lot of times entrepreneurs saying you got to make the jump, you got to just go all in.
Lies.
Lies. And I think that you have to find evidence that this is something that you definitely can find success in, and then also fulfillment. You know, if counting numbers brings you fulfillment, keep counting them. But if you find that there's joy in making cakes, but at the same time you can't support your family, you can't make a living, then maybe it's something that you balance really in a healthy way. Maybe, and we don't want to get in that story, but maybe being an accountant allows you to make cakes.
But you should do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I will tell you, like, we're going to get into, my goal for this is to do a couple of, like, series. So today's is just about an introduction. I'm going to answer some of your questions. But a lot of you want to know about pricing. And I'm going to tell you again, with so much love and so much support, like, I should start with the good, right? Okay, so remember I said I have a passion for helping women in particular. Like, I'm not lying about that. You could ask any woman in the community. I will be right there to support you. I believe in supporting local. All of the juice we drink is local. All of the flowers we purchase are local. It's so important for you to support other people, women in particular. So I'm saying that to tell you, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be here to make you audacious, to make you brave, to tell you should follow your dreams. I'm also very real, like probably more real than most women, huh?
I just said real.
And I'm going to be really real with you. So if you're asking me for cake pricing, but you are asking me in the same sentence or the same paragraph how to leave your job, I'm going to tell you you're not ready. Because if you don't know how to properly price your cakes, then you're not ready to run a business. And so now I want to talk about levels, okay? So there's I like analogies. Eddie and I love analogies. So we're going to talk about an old school game from, when's Mario Brothers? 80s?
Yeah, definitely like 84.
Okay. In the 1980s, for some of you that are older, you may remember the game Super Mario Brothers. It was amazing. I remember my great-grandmother played it with us on Nintendo. This is like back in the day with the cartridges, like you blow in the cartridge. You guys know what I'm talking about? So this is an analogy that's going to help you and help change your life. I promise you. You just have to take it, like what I'm going to give you, make sure you receive it, grab it, okay? So remember the game. You start off in level 1. You're a little Mario, right? And you go, right? Mm-hmm. And the first thing you come to is what? A brick or something?
Yeah.
And you realize that, I think A makes you jump. So you jump up, you hit this, what is it, a question mark or something? And you get a mushroom. And then you eat the mushroom and it makes you big, right? Okay, so now Big Mario is walking, progressing through the level. Thank you. And then you come into a bad guy, a little turtle guy. You accidentally mess up and run into him. Guess what? You get brought back down to little Mario. So the point is that in the beginning stages, there are tools that are necessary to get you from point A to the end of it, right? There's also lots of learnings. They also know that you're probably not going to get it right out of the gate, so you get 3 lives. That's not true in the business world. You get 1. But, so the point I'm trying to make is that you start off in level 1 knowing nothing, right? So you have to do your research. You find out what your resources are available to you. You've got the mushroom. Then, I believe in level 1, you get some sort of extra man, but it's like a level of discovery, right?
Simple.
It's simple. Okay, so you gain a few little like tidbits of knowledge, a couple of tools that you've added to your tool belt, and now you make it to the end if you didn't die 3 times, right? But some of you have to learn the hard way, so you gotta die 3 times. It's okay. So now you make it to the end where you climb that little thing, and what is there? There's a flagpole. So you get to run and jump and slide down the flagpole. The flagpole signifies the level that you're in. You've achieved it, like you've mastered it, and now you get to celebrate with a small victory, slide down the flagpole, be super excited, pump yourself up, and know that you're ready now to enter the second level. Is this making sense?
Yep.
Are we on track?
And I think that the thing that you want to make sure that you really kind of crystallize is those little men, those enemies that are attacking you, they're going at a certain pace that first level. They're a slower pace. They're obstacles
but
that
it's still painful.
It's obstacles that you don't necessarily know.
And you don't have the skills. If they were going faster,
you'd be done.
Done. Okay, so now go on with this, all right? So you're in the second level. Second level, I believe you get the flower, and now you have like spittable fire, right? So you have flower power, whatever that crap is. Now you know that you could spit them. There's also a star.
Yeah.
So you get the star, now you're invincible. So you can run through the whole thing, but again, there's still the ability to die. There's still new bad guys that get introduced, which are new problems in the real world. And there's still so much to learn, right? So I think you don't get to like fly with your little tail until like the 3rd level. The point is after level 2, what do? You go to the end and you get to slide down that flagpole again, celebrating that small victory. Now, let's time out. If you, in life, decided to skip everything that you do, you decide, I'm going to skip level 1 through 5 and I'm just going to dive into 6. You've never played the game before. You are equipped with 0 tools. You're equipped with 0 experience, 0 knowledge. You don't know what bad guys are coming after. You don't know who's your friend, who's not, right? Is this making sense for you guys? So life and business is very much like Super Mario Brothers. You have to stay in your level and you have to celebrate all the small, wonderful victories. And I'll tell you, women in particular, we fail to celebrate those victories. We have this hard time like pumping ourselves up and patting ourselves on the back, and also knowing that like I have to stay in this level so I can gain all of the knowledge and all of the tools that are necessary for me to move on. So I want you to really wrap your head around that, because it applies to everything, business and life. Okay, so the reason I say this is because I don't want you looking at my level, which may be at this point level 30, and someone else's level 52, and asking yourself why you're at level 6. And the reason is because you need those tools. You have to be excited to go through all of the different levels. If you're in level 6, level 3, level 2, I don't care what level you're in, you need to be excited to be there, because you're right where you are supposed to be based on your skill set, based on your knowledge, based on a million other things. You're exactly where you need to be. So stay in your lane, stay in your level. Don't compare yourself to someone else's level 32, because that's ridiculous. And what else?
I'll just touch on a couple of things. When you get the star, when you get the flower, those things don't last forever. So a lot of times when you are early on, you'll meet really great success early, and that early success sometimes can trick you in thinking that you've advanced to this other level. Well, no, you're still there, because that may not last very long. And that success is a lot of times because of the fact that you've put so much positive energy into your business. And so the first couple of cakes you got happened really quickly. Right? And then,
that didn't mean I was a master cake decorator.
No,
that
and then you had one cake that melted.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
we've had some cake disasters. You know, we've had many a times where we were crying and we bit off more than we can chew, and they were learnings. But had we not experienced those, you know, setbacks, or you died in Mario World 3 and you had to come back and reinvent yourself and go about it and attack the level in a different way, you would never, ever, like, one, appreciate the level you're in, and it's also very humbling to know I'm right where I need to be. I cannot stress it enough, because with social media and the world we live in today, it's very easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to what someone else has. So this person has 50,000 Instagram followers. Who cares? This person, you know, made a cake for the Kardashians. Who cares? So you need to know that you're doing exactly what you should be doing in the level that you are. If you are scrambling around and you don't know what direction to go in, and you have just like no idea where to start, guess what? You're exactly where you need to be. So start looking, start finding the answers, start educating yourself. I can't tell you, this morning I was looking for a book. Just back up for a second. There are so many books. Well, these are mostly CDs. But we have this whole wall inside of the cabinets are filled with books. So I found a couple. I bought a book on everything you could think of. So this one, How to Start a Business in California. I skimmed through, got what I needed, didn't read the whole thing. This one, I didn't have any money when we started. Remember, I had lost my job. Free money and help for women entrepreneurs. This is crap. I'll tell you, money is not free. Like, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't fall from the sky. And I'll tell you what, if it did, you would fail, because you wouldn't know how to earn it. If you don't earn it, you won't know how to hold on to it. So all of you, I know there's a lot of you right now that are like, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe you're in level like 7 and you've been making cakes for a few years, but now you just need the money because you want to get into a bakery. I promise you this, there's something that the universe, God, Buddha, Allah is trying to get out of you in the level that you're in order to advance you and promote you to the next level. And until you get that, so it may be, hey, I'm in level 6, I have 20,000 Instagram followers, and I'm a really big deal on Facebook, and I'm always booked. Guess what? You don't know the cost of your ingredients. You don't know the slightest idea of how to hire your first employee. You don't know how to be a leader to inspire these people to want to come and work for you every day. Maybe you're hung up on being a perfectionist, and so that's your MO, like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, I can't have anyone work for me. Guess what? That's gonna hold you back like crazy. There's a million other things that could be holding you back from the level you think that you're supposed to be. And trust me, like, it's happening for a reason, and it's in your best interest. But
And I think that you're gonna, I think in another episode you're gonna talk about
before you quit your job,
the different roles that you have to have, and I think that the ebook talks about it a lot. The technician and then the entrepreneur, and so you have to identify: are you in the appropriate role for your business? Are you the technician, or are you the person that has the vision to see further? And I think that was really established early on for the Cake Mamas, where you had the vision, you had the understanding of where the company needed to go, and you had the foundation where Fab had some of the technician work where we can say, hey, this is how you make a cake.
Let me frame this for you, because this is a really, really great point. Anytime I teach a business class, this goes back to the universe giving me exactly what I needed. Again, I want you to repeat this. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so here I am, maybe 2 weeks into it. We've got business cards. We think we're just like rolling, right? Mostly from my doing, because I'm crazy like that. So I'm at a gymnastics class with my 4-year-old. And one of the moms who I can't remember her name, but if I saw her, and I see her often, and I thank God that she was sitting in the gymnastics class with me on this particular day. So she starts talking to me. She says she's a broker. She says, what do you do? And I said, oh, I own a business, a cake business. I want to open a bakery. She goes, oh, really? Have you ever read this book? It's called The E-Myth. And I was like, no, I haven't. She goes, I would advise that you get that book before you start anything. And she was kind of negative about it, but I'm telling you, to this day, I am so humbled and so thankful that she told me that. So a few side notes. You guys are going to have some friends and family that pump you up ridiculously. Oh, girl, that's the best cake I ever had. You need to open a business. You could ship this nationwide. You could be in Costco with cupcakes that taste this good. I mean, they're going to pump you up to where you feel invincible. And I will tell you, family in that case is the worst people to pull, because they love you and they're going to not be really brutally honest with you in some situations, and they're going to give you maybe too much audacity. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Or you could have a family like mine who's going to be like, and they didn't do this, but they asked questions like, well, why do you want to do that? Why would you leave a corporate job? You're not going to have medical insurance. Do you think this is good for your kids? Like, there are so many people that are going to throw advice at you. It's either going to be negative or it's going to be super encouraging. This is my rule. Unless you've done what I'm trying to do, then I don't wait. I put no weight in your opinion. I want to hear it, and I'm open to it, and I'm receptive, but am I going to let it keep me up at night? Absolutely not. Am I going to let you tell me that I shouldn't start a business because I'm not going to have medical insurance, but you've never gone out on a limb, you've never even had a good idea, and you're still in the same place at the same job you were 35 years ago? I'm not going to listen to you. So there's an element of you have to listen to some of the real, and then there's an element of, I don't really care what you have to say. That's kind of confusing, but it's the best I could give you. So I don't know which end of the spectrum your family's on, but there's a middle ground, and you have to just do soul searching and say, okay, is there truth to anything that anyone said?
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Okay, so the E-Myth, back to gymnastics. She tells me, get this book. It's called The E-Myth. There's 3 principles. I say that you go on Amazon and you have it Amazon Prime shipped to you by tomorrow and you start reading it. There's 3 principles in the E-Myth, and so the book discusses that there's 3 different personalities that are required in order to run a business. So one would be the entrepreneur, the second would be the manager, and the third would be the technician. Let me break it down for you really quick. The entrepreneur is the dreamer, the visionary. Like, they've got, oh my God, and then what if we did this? What if we did sell stuff in Costco? What if we shipped nationwide? What if we got asked to be on Cake Wars? Like, they're the dreamer, the visionary, right? The manager is more of the logistics, let's say. So, well, how many employees would be required for that? How much money do we need to sell our cakes for in order to make a profit to be able to pay for all of that? So I'd say they're the realist, right? The manager's going to bring the entrepreneur's vision back down and say, okay, this is what we can afford right now based on finances. The manager's going to say, hey, I got this book on how to start up, because we don't know what we're doing. So you need to take your vision down a little bit and get yourself on track, and let's do things the right way. And then thirdly is the technician. The technician's pretty simple. It's the doer. And what I mean by that is, in this situation, you'd be the cake maker. So Fabiola was definitely the technician, and I had management experience. I love managing, and I also had the entrepreneurial vision. So I thought, were a perfect mix. So Fab's role in the bakery was to take direction. They had orders, there was a system in place. She came into work, they told her what to do, and she could knock out cakes. She was very efficient. She was a great employee. She served her employer, she gave good service, like things like that. That's a technician. Another example would be when we worked at Circuit City and Best Buy, we had the Geek Squad, let's say. Geek Squad guys are super smart. They're technicians. They work on your computer or whatever electronic devices you have. And I can't tell you how many times over the years they didn't want to listen to the processes that the company had put in place for them because they thought they had a better way of doing it. I can name one right now in particular that may be watching, and I always give him crap for it today. So what I would tell him, it was Stanley Siringo Ringo, remember? Mm-hmm. So I had this Geek Squad tech, or a Fire Dog tech at the time at Circuit City, and he would never follow the protocol on how to check in a computer from a customer when it was broken. And so I'd constantly have to write him up. Mind you, I have a really great relationship with this guy, but he just doesn't listen. So I would say, we put procedures in place for you to follow, and you work for this company, and this is how they have deemed it appropriate for you to, this is the process that's required for you to do your job. So he would constantly tell me, this is stupid, if I do this, it cuts out time, and I go, how about this? One day, when you decide that you want to open your own computer technician business, you can do it exactly how you want. But until then, this is the process. So he would be the perfect example of a technician. This is someone that is a technician that would probably start a business and then possibly fail because he didn't understand the manager's perspective, which was all about the standard operating procedures and why things are put in place, right? And then maybe he had some of the vision, but did he really have the vision, or did he have the knowledge? So I want, if you guys take anything away today, I want you to ask yourselves really honestly, are you all three? Are you one? Which one? Most of you, I can tell you, are going to be the technicians because you make cakes and you want to take it to another level. But I would encourage you, between now and the next time that we chat, ask yourself, do I have the capacity and the capability and the know-how and the wherewithal to be a manager? A manager reads books. A manager calculates their costs. A manager is doing research on industry trends. A manager is going to say, you know what, when we're coming up with a budget, we should budget in attending a trade show or going somewhere to educate ourselves so we can have the background on what we're doing and have the knowledge to really take this to another level. So I want you to ask yourself if you have put yourself in the mindset of a manager. And then now the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur, that word gets thrown around so loosely, but it's pretty tough. Like it's basically going against the grain and saying, I'm going to have so much vision that I'm going to take this to a level, and I'm going to forecast and foresee everything that could go wrong, could go right. Like, this is my ship and I'm steering it. And that's a scary thing, but the word sounds so cool. Yeah. And someone said, I need to be a better manager. And this is fantastic. And this isn't something you should get off and feel deflated about. This is something you should say, okay, wow, she told me to get it together. She gave me 3 things that I need to work on. And I need to really ask myself, am I capable of putting myself in the mindset of being all 3 of these? And so that I'd say would be my biggest thing that I could give you to cheer you on. I want you really to do that.
And I think an easy way to identify what role you're playing, and I think that's something that stuck with us, was, are you working in your business more than you're working on your business? And so the technician will constantly be working in their business but not on, right? And so they're not doing social media, they're not managing their website, they're not managing their customers, they're constantly making cakes or cupcakes. Then you are in a technician role, and you have to find a way. Do you need someone to come into your business to help you with the entrepreneur role or the manager role? Or do you have the capacity a business as an entrepreneur and as a manager?
And I can tell you, this has gone 49 minutes, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but this is important information. Fab Wait, you guys there? Yes. Because of the skills that she possessed and because of the skills that I possessed, we didn't try to cross-learn. I mean, I was the technician too because I did make cakes, but I think our struggle, to be perfectly honest with you, was she didn't want to be the manager and she didn't want to have the vision. She didn't also want to hear it from me and kind of run with it. And so that's a whole nother topic, and I love her, and you know, our family is what's number one, so I don't want you to think we left on really bad terms, but there is a lot for you guys to think about when it comes to this, because if you don't want to be the entrepreneur and the visionary, and you tell yourself, I don't want to hire other people because what if they don't do a good job, you're not going to be a good leader. You're just not. If you say, you know, oh, I don't like math, so I just don't want to get involved in that, you're not going to be a good business owner. So what I'm telling you today is this stuff's not optional. This is a must. If you want to have a successful business, it's required that you have vision. It's required that you can lead a team with kindness and goodness and do it from your heart. It's required that you inspire them. It's required that you're knowing that you're capable and able to articulate yourself and, you know, approach confrontation. Like, that sounds like such a terrible word, but if you have an employee coming in late every day and you're like, I'm just the kind of person that likes to avoid confrontation, I don't want to avoid confrontation. This is my business. I have to talk to you, but I do have to know how to do it tactfully, how to do it legally, how to do it in a way that will get out of you what I'm expecting to get back, which is change, right? Yeah. So there's so much that we can talk about. But I hope that helps you. I want to address a couple of your questions just to make sure that you know that I did get them. And I do think that I answered quite a bit of them. We talked about pricing. Business education versus experience is huge. Thanks for sharing your personal journey. So I did have the business background, which did set me up, you know, to have an advantage. But I will tell you, there are books, there's Google, there's me, there's lots of information available for you guys to go out and get it. You have to make it a priority to educate yourself. That would be the number one bit of advice I can tell you. And then remember how much I said I loved women. I didn't know. Someone asked me, I'm looking for the question, what was your biggest learning experience starting your business? It's going to sound silly, but my biggest learning experience was I came from a male-dominant industry. I had only ever worked with men. I had seen that when you do really well at something, you get recognition, you network. Like, I remember calling another manager in another state because my boss was like, hey, they're really winning and killing it over there. You need to pick up the phone and ask them how. So I grew up in that business environment where that was what you did, right? So now fast forward to the baking industry, I thought the same thing applied. It's not. Women are mostly the business owners in this industry, and you know, there's this old cliche that women are bitchy, they're catty, they don't get along with other women, and I'll tell you, I never found it to be more true. I thought that I was going to be able to network with other bakeries, to make friends. I mean, I don't want your buttercream recipe, but if you're getting boxes at a discounted rate and you really like doing business with this box person or this printer, then I would appreciate a recommendation, you know? And so I try to do that in my business, but this is one of the reasons why I wanted to use my voice to help you guys, is because we need to be more professional and we need to be taken seriously. And one, we're not charging accordingly because we don't even know how much the stuff costs. And so the next time we get together, we are going to go over how to break down the costs in your business, because you don't have a business if you don't know how much your product costs. So if you're selling a cake and you're crapping out some quote, you know, oh, I'll do that for $100, but you don't know how much time and labor goes into that, how much you want to earn, how much the ingredients cost, how many stores you have to drive around to get it. Do you have to pay for overnight shipping for a special type of flavor? Like, if you don't know that, then you should never be giving out a price. And so that's my biggest pet peeve. But again, I want to help. I want to help our industry. I want to help give you confidence. I want to help give you the tools that you need. And I want to help make it more professional and something that women want to be a part of. We should be lifting each other up and inspiring each other and sharing and just helping overall. That's how you give back. So I think that's all I have. Did you want to say something?
I think someone asked a question about, she said that if she makes a cake or a cupcake and it's not perfect, she feels like a failure.
Okay, so perfectionism is There's a couple of different things.
You know my philosophy.
What? Tell them.
Done's better than perfect when perfect's not done.
Okay, so that applies when trying to write a book or trying to start a YouTube channel. Like, hey, you should just do it. Because a lot of people use the word perfectionism to talk themselves out of doing something. So you procrastinate, it never gets done. So Eddie's saying, again,
done is better than perfect when perfect's not done. So
right.
If you are struggling to meet the demand because you're fixated on this one particular cake that you're doing that you feel that's not perfect, it could be a way of you not completing it.
Right.
And
but
so,
in the cake world, I'll tell you, I am a perfectionist also. I want things to be super clean, so I had to tie this back in. Remember when I said stay in your lane, know your competitors, but also don't compare yourself. So there were no local competitors in our neighborhood. And at the time I wasn't looking to be a cupcake shop, so I didn't even Google that. I literally only looked up custom cakes. And so I found this one custom cake place in New Jersey, and they were called the Pink Cake Box. They're still around. And I fell in love with their stuff, you guys. Like the clean lines, the way that they use their fondant. So I had so many pictures that I was like, one day when I get to this level, I will have made it. Like when my lines are clean like this, when my stuff's on Pinterest, when I have a following like this, and they're not following because just to follow, like these people are like, wow, this is the best cake I've ever seen. So that was kind of like what I set my eyes and my sights on. Never did I copy one of their cakes. Never did I say, oh, I'm going to make it exactly like theirs. I'm still against that to this day. But I do remember thinking, God, I want to like reach out to the owner and tell her how wonderful her stuff is. I want to tell her how inspiring it is. And so I'm saying it now. Pink Cake Box was one of my biggest inspirations. Again, never did I want to be just like them, but they were an inspiration. So I will tell you, find something, some business. It doesn't even have to be a cake business. That's an inspiration, not something you're going to copy. Don't steal their logo. Don't steal their policy. Don't steal all that. And it has happened to us many, many times. But find something that inspires you. And, you know, I'll tell you, lately I've been wanting to be inspired by Apple. Like my husband works for Apple. They're so innovative. They think of things before anyone else thinks of them. And so I've been using Apple as inspiration. Obviously, I'm not going to make clean white cakes, but do you get what I'm saying? Like find something that really inspires you in some way.
Yeah, and I think that you set the expectation of what the cake should look like over the years, and that expectation has continued to rise over the years, and the standard of which you would accept changed. So if you are a perfectionist like she is, I think that it shouldn't stop you from putting product out. It should be a standard that you never waver from, but you have to know when you have to complete a project,
right.
And then also efficiency and time, and I think that that's important too.
So I used Pink Cake Box because I got sidetracked on perfectionism. Thank you for bringing me back. So perfectionism in the bakery, I'll tell you, I'm the one that writes out the checks. I'm the one that manages our labor. I'm the one that, you know, manages our cash flow. And so I've learned that perfectionism isn't something that you can spend 25 hours on when you're paying somebody by the hour. And so there are certain times where I go, you know what? It's not the best. It's not my favorite. I could have done it in a different way. But if I already spent 5 or 6 hours on it and I know the customer will like it just the way it is, I usually have to just go with that. And then what I do is I learn from that and I say, man, the next time I sculpt a Harry Potter, whatever it is, I'm going to approach it in a different way now. But I can't scrap something that I've spent 5 or 10 hours on. So I will tell you, don't be your worst enemy. And you need to get that under control and start holding yourself to like a time a time frame. You have to set a timer when you're making cakes, because a lot of you apply at the Cake Mamas. The issue is like, I'm going to be on you about time. Like, hey, how quickly do you think you could make this? I'm not saying make it crappy. I'm saying be efficient and be productive with your time, but put out your best work. And so that's something that if you're not able to manage on yourself, how would you manage an employee to do that? That's like a tough, difficult thing. What are you doing? Yeah. So we're almost at an hour. We talked, a lot of you are asking questions about pricing. I said we're going to get into that next time, how to break down the prices. And then someone asked, Bernie's Sweet Confections, how do I get customers to take me seriously? I will tell you that you need to walk the talk. You need to play the role. Like, you know, when you guys see me, I'm professional, I'm humbled, I'm a mom. Like, I'm not hiding who I am because it's 2017 and people can Google you and see if you're at a strip club on a Saturday night. So you can't put something else out that you're not. You have to be yourself, but also if you're trying to run a professional baking business, you need to be professional. A lot of you, I checked out some of your Instagrams, and I'll tell you, you should have a separate page for your business and a separate page for your personal. Like, I just had a baby nephew. I shared some of the stuff because I made his baby shower stuff, and I journeyed that, I documented that journey on the Cake Mama's wall. Plus, it's part of my business. It's a Cake Mama's We're Family. If you are Bernie Sweet Confections and, you know, you make cakes and different pastries, that's what I should see when I go to your Instagram. It should look like what you're selling. And so don't flood your feed with, you know, your cousin's, uncle's, best friend's graduation, because people are going to be confused when they go to your business page. So I would advise you to keep it separate, but we'll dive into that when we talk about marketing.
Yeah, and I think that with that, I think when it comes to the pricing, one of the things that's going to be huge for people taking your pricing really seriously is going to be the value in which you impress upon them. And so people have to see value before they taste value. So, right. And then also I think it comes to the story as well. We went to the specialty foods convention, and that was a big thing where if your food and the things that you're offering have a story to tell, then you have an opportunity to create value within that story. And then your presentation, is it Instagrammable? I mean, can people look at it and go, oh wow, that looks like something I would pay $10 for? And
I'll tell you this lastly, if you are in level 2 and you just stumbled upon this cake baking thing and you are just so inspired and you want to make cakes, your page should reflect that. It should be like, hey guys, I just made this cake. It was my first time making a baby bottle. What do you think? How could I get better? Like, your fans and your followers want to be a part of your learning curve and the realness. They want to experience that. But if you are trying to be super professional and maybe put out, you know, content that's like, oh yeah, my minimum price starts at $200 and you've only made 6 cakes in your life, you're destroying your own reputation. So again, I hope this was helpful. We're going to dive into all of this. By the end of the day today, I'm going to go to the comments of this and I'm going to post dates and topics of all of the upcoming conversations that I'm really looking forward to having with you guys. And so in the meantime, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. Was it helpful? I'm trying to serve you, and you could be anywhere on a Saturday morning, but you're here with us. And so we appreciate you. And I hope that you have a wonderfully blessed day, and we'll talk soon, okay? You want to say anything?
Bye.
Bye, guys.